One of our arms represents a capability that's called flexibility. Let me try to give you my definition of flexibility. Flexibility is how quickly can we let go of a preconceived notion. Example, we're planning a great outing to go swimming. We walk outside and it's not sunny the way the forecast was, it's raining. Typical person says, it's not supposed to be raining. And we all know some people that their whole day is ruined because of that. Flexibility says, it's not sunny, it's raining, let's learn to dance in the rain. In other words, can we let go of a preconceived notion? All prejudices, all closed-mindedness happen when people are unwilling to let go and become slightly more flexible. For example, the election for the President of the United States in November of 2016. Was that outcome predicted? Absolutely wasn't. I was actually in Lithuania, 8 time zones ahead of Nashville, which meant it was 10 o'clock in the morning, Lithuania time, and I was listening to a broadcast when I found out that this had happened. I thought that it was fake news supplied by the Russians. We were next to the Russian border. Look at the map and see where Lithuania is. It's a NATO member that borders Russia. And I was in complete, absolute denial for nearly an hour. Because my whole approach to it was I've studied every opinion poll, every survey, I studied political science, I know what's going to happen, I know who will win the election. And this happened. And it was a phenomenal exercise in how inflexible, and it took me a while to kind of get my head around that whole notion. But there's some people who still haven't gotten their head around that whole notion. And they're in denial that it happened. Well, part of moving forward in life is to say, it's not what I thought it would be, what is it, and now what can I do about that? So that's really what that's about. Let's do a little exercise in flexibility. How many lines have we got on the screen? 6. Kind of looks like a bit of a piano keyboard, right? Got 6 lines up there. Can you add 5 identical lines and make 9? Make the 6 into 9 by adding 5 identical lines. Little math puzzle. You probably got it because you think that way. How many of you are saying, wait a minute, Dan, this is not right. 6 plus 5 is 10. No, I mean, sorry, 11, right? And you say, no, this can't be right. So what's the answer?
You add a diagonal line, yeah, right slope.
Exactly. So the only way we can make this 6 into 9 is if we do it this way. And for some reason, that's the way your mind works, which is very cool. So our attitude, when I said this is a little math puzzle, where did your brain categorize? Okay, I got to count, I got to add, I got to make this happen. But many puzzles in life aren't what they seem. And so second level thinking means, is there another way to look at this, a different angle to look at it? And flexibility is called for in order to make that work for ourselves. The peer of flexibility, which is an attitude, how quick can I let go of something, is resilience. And resilience is adaptability. How quickly can I change myself due to the fact this is not what I thought it was going to be? And we all know people that get stuck in their attitudes and they say, because it's not what I wanted, I'm going to take my tent and go home. Well, part of life is understanding it's not always the way we want it to be. So what can I change? How can I be more resilient? So let's do an example. A while ago we talked about crossing arms and how it's comfortable. So everybody cross your arms for just a second. Sit as comfortably as you can in a natural posture. Okay? Very good, very comfortable. Now uncross your arms. Cross them again with the other arm on top. How many are wondering whose arms these are? You know, it's like, wait a minute, who had to actually think about it? I always have to think about that. And yet, I remember from high school biology that the human form is bilaterally symmetrical. Supposed to be equally comfortable either way, but the reality is we get into what's comfortable. And when we have to change, it's really awkward, and we have trouble with that. So sometimes to become more resilient means putting ourselves in situations where we're not comfortable and then figuring out how to become comfortable with that lack of comfort. Resilience is going to be so important in the changing world. And as businesses evaporate and disappear, for example, my wife's brother is the most talented salesperson I ever knew. He was one of the world's leading salesmen of typewriters. Somebody know what a typewriter is? If you go to a museum, you know what a typewriter is. And what happened to typewriters? Well, it doesn't matter if you're the best in the world at something that is no longer in existence. So resilience, adaptability, these things go together in such a good way. The brain, the head, not only is the center of so much perception, but I think it is a trait that's unique to humans. It is our ability to take perspective on the things that happen in life. Perspective is simply the way we choose to look at something, right? Now, are humans the only creatures that can learn? No. Lots of living creatures can learn. That's just the way they're made. Let's just give an example. Let's suppose that we're out in the African veldt and we're a few lions. And I'm thinking I'm going to have a little baby gazelle for breakfast today. So I'm heading off and I'm going to say that gazelle's probably going to cut to the left. So I'm going to cut to the left and I'm going to have gazelle for breakfast. And the gazelle cuts to the right. I missed the gazelle. So I come back and talk to my buddies and I say, you know, next time I'm going to be ready to cut right or left. That's called learning. Humans go beyond that. Can you imagine if I came back to my buddies and I said, hey, you know, Leo, Simba, I've been thinking about it. I'm really glad I missed that gazelle. I mean, it was just a baby. It never had a chance to go to gazelle prom and learn to drive like a gazelle. And besides, I've been eating way too much red meat lately. You know, my cholesterol is through the roof. So I think this is a blessing in disguise. Why don't we go to a nice salad bar? Probably wouldn't happen in the world of lions. But humans have that unique ability to take a look at even the most tragic of circumstances and put perspective on it where we can learn from it. We have to challenge ourselves to do that. And as we go through a cycle as things happen to us, hopefully we learn. Learning is pulling in information. And really, it's a lot of observation and perception. But when we reflect on those perceptions, when we reflect on the observations, then we start to come to some different points. These points often lead to decisions we make. And when we make a decision that we're committed to, we then can act. And so my encouragement always when we go through a really challenging and difficult situation is say, what's the perspective I need to take on this? What can I learn from it? What's this leading me toward? What's a new decision that I need to make? How can I therefore act upon this decision? How many of you know people that have made life-changing decisions to improve their health? They quit smoking. They did something, they stopped doing something that was horribly destructive. That only happens when they take the right perspective and they make a decision that they're fully committed to. So practice perspective. How do you get better at that? Well, first of all, just say, wait a minute, is there a different way to look at this? Is my perspective necessarily right or is it wrong? Who remembers the legend about Beowulf and Grendel? You say, yeah, Beowulf, Brad Pitt. Well, there was a book written by John Gardner called Grendel that tells the Beowulf legend from the monster's point of view. And it's very valuable to listen and read things from a different point of view because it causes us to question our perspective. Once in a while, take a position in a debate or discussion that you don't believe in so that you can grow to understand that person's point of view and understanding. That's what gives us perspective as we move through life. Now you notice my little character here is looking at him or herself. This is what we called before self-image. Self-image is exactly what it sounds like. It's the way we view ourselves. And every human views him or herself in positive ways in some aspects of life. In other ways, we don't view ourselves so positively. How many of you play a musical instrument? Okay, keep your hand up if you feel proficient enough that you wouldn't mind sitting in front of here and playing for the group. Okay, a few hands stay up, that's good. And you probably are better than you think you are. But the point of it is, when I say play a musical instrument, how about well enough to play in front of the group? It's not unusual that not all the hands stay up. Because yes, I play an instrument, I don't perceive myself to be that good. And yet you probably are. And everybody here would applaud. So we have positive self-image in some areas, and we can have very negative self-image in others. I'm just not good at math is a very common poor affirmation that many people make. So we can change that by getting extra tutoring, extra time, extra study, and we can become better at it. So just understand that we all see ourselves in certain ways that may or may not be accurate, and quite often are not. So look for the good in you as much as you can. And we gave a little hint earlier today. Self-talk is an important part of improving that. Catch ourselves doing what's right. It doesn't take any intelligence to catch ourselves doing things wrong. We do it all day long anyway. So form a habit of doing some things and catching yourself doing it right. In fact, a little exercise every night, write down 5 things you did well that day. It's not simple. Now, if I told you write down 5 mistakes you made, most of you could already do it right now, and the day is only partially over. But learning to catch ourselves doing things right is part of growing.